New videos every day.
Okay, John Breeding, Thursday, August 28th, 2009 in Austin, Texas. This is part 2 of this little series on working with young people. We began with looking at true nature. It may raise a question for some of you, hopefully it does, that says, that sounds a lot like a Pollyanna universe. What about the bad stuff? What about the aggression? What about the violence? What about the stupidity? What about the mean-spiritedness? What about the selfishness? All these qualities of the shadow or the so-called dark side, or the things that are not so beautiful and glorious in their appearance. You can't just be ignoring and overlooking that, or else you're just a Pollyanna universe fantasy guy. Well, I'm going to say more about that in a later segment, but this segment right here is just going to look at 2 conditions that are necessary for these qualities to remain in the forefront and to manifest fully at different levels. I'll say more about how they get started in a later segment. Okay, the 2 qualities we're going to call mirroring and modeling. Okay, and I actually have a chapter in my True Nature book about mirroring and modeling. Let's talk first about mirroring. I'll start with a quote by A.H. Almaas, who's developed a whole system for working with personal transformation for people called the Diamond Heart Approach. The manifestations of the soul that are inadequately mirrored remain in the dark recesses of unactualized potential. That's kind of a lot of big words, but what it means is these qualities of what he's called soul, what I was calling true nature, these qualities remain hidden and obscured if they're not mirrored. What does that mean? It means that children need mirrors in order to develop. And I'm not talking about the perverted version of it from Madison Avenue and our society's great desire to sell things to kids and make girls think they got to look a certain way to be okay, and et cetera, et cetera. I'm talking about a mirror in the sense of a pure reflection that sees and acknowledges what is seen to a young person, that is able to see gentleness, that is able to see vitality, that is able to see the yearning for intimacy and affection, that is able to see that fierce determination for self-determination, and validate that, and recognize it, and then encourage it and support it. See, if we're shut down around self-determination, we can't do that. We just want the child to obey. Obedience is sometimes a good virtue, but mostly it's a severe problem. It leads to doing all kinds of things in the name of following orders and disconnecting from your own truth and your own integrity. So if, as an adult, you cannot recognize and mirror and celebrate self-determination in a little one, that quality is going to get smashed or become hidden. Same thing with enthusiasm and delight. Same thing with energy and vitality. Same thing with intimacy and affection and gentleness. They need to be seen and recognized in a benign, loving, supportive, encouraging way. That's what mirroring is. And so it requires our adults, as adults, doing the best we can to clear our own reflection. If we're mixed up around energy and self-determination and think that's horrible, shameful defiance, we're going to be messed up as a mirror, right? Or if a child needs to express emotionally and we're shut down that area, we're going to have a hard time mirroring that back in an accepting, supportive, relaxed, confident, benign way. So I say a lot about mirroring, that's the first quality, and it's so important. Just as one more piece about this, is that, for example, adults tend to be very serious about work. And the society is more and more pushing young people to work, in the sense of go to preschool and school and kindergarten and work. We forget that the work of children is play. Play is their work. It is not a waste of time. It is not unproductive. It is not something to grow out of. Play is about learning and power. How do we mirror that in a relaxed, joyful, celebrating way if we're shut down around play, if we've forgotten how to play and be playful? We won't be able to enjoy our children and mirror that back to them. So that's mirroring. The other quality is modeling. They're related. Joseph Chilton Pearce is a great developmental theorist and educator, and here's what he says about modeling. The first imperative of nature is simple as rain and as natural. No model, no development. See? Almost as saying, no mirror, hidden, obscured, true nature. Pearce is saying, no model, no development. So in other words, you can have these glorious qualities like gentleness, but if you don't have a model for gentleness, it doesn't develop properly. You know? Same thing for strength. Same thing for self-determination. Same thing for responsibility. That's a big thing, you know, and that puts a heavy responsibility on us as adults. You know, the teaching is very simple. The main transmission, the main effect we have on children is not what we say. And it's certainly not the ways that we punish or discipline or the directives we give, you know. The main thing is who and how we model, who we are, and how we show that. Best way to teach respect is to be respectful. The best way to teach responsibility is to be responsible. Best way to teach gentleness and loving is to be gentle and loving. Best way to teach enthusiasm for learning is to be enthusiastic for learning. That's where the work is. It's not straightening out and trying to inculcate these qualities in a child. It's turning that finger back here and taking responsibility. Best way to help my child who's shy making friends on the playground is for me to go out and make new friends in my life. It's incredible how it works. No model, no development. Child has a capacity for language that's unbelievable, but language is not developed without models for language. It's essential. Okay? So these are just two of the necessary conditions for that being to grow. I really like, and I'll end this segment with a passage from the beginning of my Wildest Colts book. Slight edit here, Mike. I'll end this segment with a passage from a Chinese philosopher. Okay, Mike, you're bearing with me here. I know you're going to edit this. Here it is. I end this second part with a quotation from an ancient Chinese philosopher named Chuang Tzu. I'm reading it from my Wildest Colts book. Old Camelback was a highly successful gardener. People wanted to know the secret of his success, but he denied having any particular method other than fostering natural tendencies, that is, forwarding life. He said, quote, "In planting trees, be careful to set the roots straight, to smooth the earth around, to use good mold, and to ram it down well. Then, don't touch the trees. Don't think about them. Don't go look at them. Leave them alone to take care of themselves, and nature will do the rest." Makes me think of the parent who's waking their child up to make sure they're not dead while they're sleeping. Nature will do the rest. I only avoid trying to make trees grow. Others are forever running backwards and forwards to see how they're growing, sometimes scratching them to make sure they're still alive, or shaking them to see if they're sufficiently firm in the ground. thus constantly interfering with the natural bias of the tree and turning their affection and care into an absolute bane and curse. I only don't do these things, that's all. Do you get it? So I'm suggesting mirroring and modeling and things like that, but mostly it's trusting in the true nature, then being relaxed about it, and then just creating the resources and support and safety to allow that, and bringing yourself in a position where you can enjoy it. That's part 2.
If you liked this video, we have hundreds of more alternative videos ranging from sexual health to psychology to mind control. So if you liked it, go ahead and click on me to enter the Psychetruth channel.